Back to our top story now, the political crisis in Zimbabwe. The country's parliament has begun the process of impeaching President Robert Mugabe. Let's speak to Heike Schmidt. She's an associate professor in modern African history at the University of Reading here in the UK. Good to have you with us. I'm wondering what you're making of this all, because the fact that an impeachment process has begun would have been unthinkable just a short time ago, and now it looks as though Robert Mugabe is going to be forcibly removed from power.
Hello, thanks for having me. Yes, it definitely has been unthinkable until just maybe 10 days ago. But what transpired in the last half an hour is that the impeachment has not started in Parliament. Instead, one of the senior members of the ruling party, ZANU-PF, Patrick Chinamasa, suggested to reconvene Parliament, both houses of Parliament, in a hotel because he suggested that the room was inappropriate. It was not big enough for everybody to convene. Now, that's an interesting interpretation of a very formal and important political gathering that could have changed the course of Zimbabwean history. What is important here is that, again, action is taken by somebody from within the ruling party, and we've not heard opposition voices.
If we look at Mugabe, what do you think it is that finally led to this political crisis? Is it because he dismissed his vice president, which led to the army stepping in, or have there been other factors leading up to this?
Oh, this has been a story in the making for almost 37 years. There were a few very, very prosperous years in the beginning after independence in 1980, prosperous politically, socially, economically, but frustration with the ruling party and with Robert Mugabe began quite quickly when the genocide was carried out in the south of the country that led to the death of up to 20,000 people who most of whom opposed the ruling party. So a long standing grudge. The trigger certainly was last summer when Mugabe's wife declared that in the planned elections mid-next year, her husband, Robert Mugabe, would win, whether he's dead or alive at that time. She phrased it a little bit more politely. So that really triggered a lot of public outrage about her abrasiveness, about her sense of entitlement, and then the dismissal of the vice president, Emmerson Mnangagwa, 10 days ago, finally triggered the army into action.
Well, we know that there have been some demonstrations taking place outside Parliament, some people calling for elections. Do you think we're going to see that in Zimbabwe? Where do you think Zimbabwe's headed?
That is a question very difficult to answer. I'm afraid that it is possible that we will see business as usual almost, because so far the opposition has asked for democratization, it has asked for free and fair elections, it has asked for a transitional government, but all the actions so far that have been taken have been within the ruling party and within the ruling party among the elders. Having said this, one mustn't forget that Zimbabwe is a very young country, the average age is 20, and there is a lot of hope one can set in these young people, both members of the ruling party but also opposition supporters, that they are at a point now that they will have their voices ever more loudly heard. And Zimbabwe has been a very peaceful country in terms of civil society protesting. We saw the jubilous response to Robert Mugabe being removed as party leader, but we also saw the response to his speech on Sunday being sadness and not anger. And so I think there is a possibility for a peaceful change towards democracy, but it's not that likely that this will come very soon.
Good to speak with you and to get your thoughts there. Thank you very much indeed for your analysis. Heike Schmidt there in Reading.